Um, Now, today we'll be talking on Are You Hungry? And the purpose of today's talk is really, if possible, to speak from my heart. Uh, you know, because I've been reflecting on the last few days um, about the discussions we've had in the past. We talked about stocks. I'm going to have someone in the next maybe 2 weeks. Once the things that I'm involved with get over, we'll have someone who would be teaching us on other multiple streams of income. And you know, with all this, talking about all this, I think it is very central for us to 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 be hungry. I think that's the point. The most important word there is hunger. Are we hungry enough? Some people are hungry, but not hungry enough. And what does it mean to be hungry? It just means simply to have a desire, an unquenchable desire, and a desire to achieve a goal, a desire to aim at something that cannot be stopped easily. A desire to pursue a set goal. And when we think of hunger, of course, we what comes to mind to me is a nursing mother and a baby. When the baby is hungry and starts crying, there's no baby calm down and the baby will calm down. No, no, no. The baby cries until it is fed. And when I talk about hunger, it is that kind of a desire, that kind of a pursuit that that is unquenchable in a sense. So except the specific desire is met, we will be relentless in our pursuit. And I think to a great extent, the very fact that you are here, the very fact that we are talking about this, we talk about these things every time, is proof that we are hungry. But I guess for us, for most of us, the question is, are we hungry enough? Are we hungry enough? And during this time, what I'll be doing is to highlight a few points about deterrence, things that cause us not to be hungry, things that cause us to lose our hunger, our drive in life. And as I've often said, the purpose of these talks is not to just talk per se. It is to cause us to ponder about these things, to cause us to reflect and see where we are in our own lives at the different stages, to see where we are at and which of these points we relate with, and just help us to spur us up into action. Because Jesus says, he who hears my words and does them, I'll liken him to a wise man. Wisdom is not just in hearing, it is in hearing and doing. And so, coming back to hunger, there are many of us who really lack desire. We lack the pursuit in life. We lack the energy. I mean, most of us, even myself, candidly, when I reflect on my own life, there was a time when I was extremely hungry. Now I have to relearn to be hungry again. And how do you know that you are not hungry enough? Most of the time, it's when we are caught up in we live in with yesterday's knowledge. I call it expired knowledge. Uh, Knowledge that is way past. So I'll think of an example. If it's like the model of I'll think of if I can think of one, it's just financial, developing financially, uh, different aspects of our lives, the pursuit of wealth. Um, when we're growing up, our parents, the model that prevailed was that you just go to school, get a job, and get a family, you're set for life, and that's it. But that is old knowledge because it doesn't apply now anymore. Getting a job, if you depend only on a job, you find out that upon retirement you have to look for another job because the salary, because of other factors such as inflation, the salary does not suffice after you retire. So you see that if we're living on that knowledge, it is expired knowledge already. And so what it means is we need to update our hard drive. uh, Scripture says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And this is the crux of the matter. We can't be hungry if we don't renew our mind. It is very important to renew our mind. It's very important to renew our minds, because hunger is because of acquired knowledge. What are some of the things that hold us back even when we are hungry? What are some of the things that hold us back? Remember, I talked about hunger being the desire to pursue something. Some of us, it is this comfortable job that doesn't pay us as much. We've had dreams, but we have a job. And that's true to me, to be candid. We have dreams, but we have a job. And the job gives us some satisfaction, but we know that it is not the place of fulfillment. However, inertia kicks in. We are reluctant to move on because we find ourselves in a comfort zone. And I was reflecting on this. It occurred to me that even Jesus moved from place to place. Even Jesus wasn't stuck. So you'd see that he'll go to Bethany because there's a need there. So he moved based on the need for expression of that which was in him. And if you're here for the first time, you hear me frequently quote the Bible or talk about the Bible, because the premise for our wisdom on this platform is the Bible, knowledge from the Bible. So please don't be too surprised. And I often quote Mike Murdoch, who says there are two parts to Jesus. There's the person of Jesus and his principles. The person of Jesus takes us to eternity, gives us the peace that we need. But the principles of Jesus help us to thrive on earth, to acquire wisdom, to live a better life, to live a fulfilled life. You can die like Lazarus and go to heaven living on the crumbs. So that distinguishing pattern statement is, I like quoting it all the time, because back to what we're talking about, we here emphasize the principles of Jesus. What is holding us back from seeking opportunities? What is holding us back? Sometimes it is because we are afraid of failures. And reflecting on failures, I see them as the rungs on a ladder that lead to success. The rungs on a ladder that lead to success. Albert Einstein says, a person who never made a mistake never tried anything. And this is true for to many of us. That I think of myself, for instance. I 2 or 3 years ago, in fact, 2017, I was involved in the stock market. I went in, made some money, then I lost a bit. And I generally, to be candid with you, I don't like the concept of failure. I'm very uncomfortable with it. Some people have a mastery of it; they don't mind it. But for me, I trade a lot with certainty, and so dealing with investing in the stock market and losing just set me off on the wrong path. And it took a while for me to shed that off and to realize that failure is actually on the road to success. If you find anybody who made a mark on earth, who made a mark in their life, who achieved a certain goal, you probably the first thing you'd identify with the person is that they failed many times. So we shouldn't be afraid of failure. Talking about failure, I remember one time, a few years back, I had the opportunity of giving a talk at the Harvard School of Public Health. And, I had this grant and everything was paid. The hotel was paid. I came in, and the fear of failure that look, this young man from Cameroon, everything just kicking the night before the presentation. And I couldn't hold it. I started shivering in the hotel room. I was like, oh my goodness, why did I come here? What did I come to do here? I would have just stayed where I was studying, I would have stayed where I am. No need to come. Why did I put myself in this situation, you see, and the fear of failure took over every sense of confidence that I had. Because that's what failure does to us. But thankfully, when I woke up in the morning, I met this old man whom I spoke to, and he told me the difference is, in fact, he identified himself as a public speaker, that he had a lot of experience. And he told me that the difference between the people who succeed and those who fail is that the similarity is that both of them are afraid, but those who succeed do it anyways. They don't wait for the fear of failure to die down. They jump into the river in spite of the fact that there is risk of failure. And that is true. Like I said, the essence of these talks is for us to reflect on them, to reflect on these words and see where we are at in life. There are some of us who maybe by reason of an experience we had before in one domain or the other, we can't move past the experience of failure. You know the story of Thomas Edison, who had 1,000 failed experiments before he discovered the light bulb. So failure is actually on the path to success. To some of us, it is not just the fear of failure, it is the excuses we have. And reflecting on this, I thought of an excuse as is someone who's soothing a wound. You know, when you have a wound and you're just blowing on it, it really doesn't heal it, but it gives you a momentary, it relieves the pain momentarily. And it feels like it is good. That's what excuses do. This I talk about it a lot with my wife. We used to talk about, oh, I don't have time. And I would say, no one has more time than the other. We all, so long as you're alive, you have 24 hours. Are you busy? Yes. Am I busy? Yes. But the concept of I don't have time is an illusion. I call it a bypass, just like gastric bypass. You know, when they do gastric bypass to extremely obese people so that food will not go through the regular path. Such excuses, I don't have time, is just a bypass that soothes our minds and gives us the opportunity to excuse ourselves of the responsibility that we are supposed to engage in, the activities, the things that we have to do. To some of us, the excuses are other people around us. We complain, we see every limitation, every reason why, because there's this person, there's that person at my workplace or at school. You know, the teacher really hates me, so I would really love to do, I want to use this example for maybe some students who are on the platform. I really love to do physics. I know this is what I want to do, but the teacher hates me, and so I can't do it because of the teacher, or I can't do it because of the teacher. I think I should change. You know, the thing with excuses is that there'll always be excuses. Always be excuses. You don't have to look too far to make an excuse, to give yourself a reason why you shouldn't do what you are called to do, what you're supposed to do. There's always an excuse. The thing is, the difference is, do we follow the excuse? Or do we do it in spite of the excuse? You know, if President Obama had to think of all the negatives around him, his dad not being there and growing up, his mom taking him to Indonesia, to Kenya, to wherever, these different countries, different husbands, dating different people, he probably would have just ended up in Harlem or somewhere, just taking it easy in Chicago, taking it easy in the streets. After all, there's every reason not to move forward, because there's always a reason not to move forward. And where you are today, where I am today, is because of the excuses we made, the excuses I made, the decisions I made to do or not to do, the decisions I made to engage or not to engage. And somebody said, yesterday is gone. Today is a gift. This is all we have to do today. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. So if we live on excuses, if you're called to I want to use an example: preacher, lawyer. If you're called to do any of this and you're stuck where you are by reason of the fact that, well, look at this. I give my own myself. I have children; they're young, so I can't push for. Let me take it easy. Um, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands. Proverbs says, poverty comes because of a little sleep, a little slumber. The application of all what I'm talking about is in the fact that I can bring people onto this platform. We can have people who teach us, the best minds. Like Annette, who came here and told us. She's made millions now. Told us of how she made millions and she gave us the tricks, and we take notes and pile them. Then we say in 2 weeks, I bring someone else who teaches us about how to get multiple streams of income and gives it based on his own examples and what he's done, how he makes $5,000 a month in one stream of income and has another stream. And we take more notes and pile them. When you have excuses, there'll always be a reason to have a stockpile and not move on. Today, I really hope that I'll speak to your heart, not just give some lecture and go. I really hope that I'll speak to your heart, because the purpose of this is change. The purpose of this is change. Are you hungry? Are you hungry enough? I was reflecting on this and looking at, is it 2 Kings chapter 4? You have the story of Elijah and Elisha, and how Elijah said to Elisha that he should, tarry here. Actually, they moved from Gilgal, Bethel, Jericho, crossed over Jordan, and when they got to each city or town, Elijah, the big prophet who had all the power, and Elisha, the one who was following him, Elijah said to Elisha, stay here. It's okay. Sometimes he even quote unquote lied to him and said, you know what, God has called me to do something. But Elisha was so hungry that nothing could deter him. In fact, at one point, the sons of the prophets came and said to Elisha, do you know that your master will be taken off today? And he said, be quiet, be quiet. He didn't want any, look, don't say anything. I want to stay focused. I am too hungry. I am hungry. You see, a person who's hungry enough does not give place for excuses. A person who's hungry enough does not sit to look at whether there's time or no time. They squeeze themselves until that which has to be brought forth is brought forth. They don't go through, now I have a family, now I have, my internet. Well, I don't have a computer. They go through the 7 stages of denial. I don't know, 7 stages of denial. A person who's hungry enough just leaves. And so, that's why I put in this statement: get off the couch and just do it. The core there is just do it. There are some, I'm a writer, I've written a few books, I'm writing some. To be candid with you, I'm not a very good editor. In fact, when I write, oftentimes you see a lot of errors. It has to go through different people, have to read it and read it and read it. And for a long time, I had been writing a long time ago, even as young as a teenager. But nothing was ever published because I was waiting for perfection. I was waiting for the manuscript to be perfect, for everything to be well aligned, and for everything to be in place. And then I will publish. And it occurred to me, by reason, I told you, knowledge helps us to be hungry. When I got to know that actually the concept of perfection is an illusion, because there is no perfect state. Just do it. Those who succeed are those who decide to take the step and go ahead anyways. And they perfect their art as they do it. It is in the doing. Just do it. Why am I talking about others? There's a lot we have learned for the last 1 year plus. There's a lot we are going to learn in the next year. But what difference does it make if it is piled up and the knowledge is acquired and kept and kept and kept? What difference does it make if we are not hungry enough? If we just come to listen and get excited and move on, and next week get excited again. And please, this is not to, you know me, I'm not talking you down, or this is not to shame somebody. No, no. The essence is to bring us to the place, our minds to the place where we can take action, where we can be aligned with the purposes of our callings, the dreams that God has given to us. I put in this proverb. It's about the ant. I like the way the message puts it. I already showed it. I already displayed it there, but I like the way the message puts it. How long are you going to lay? How long are you going to laze around doing nothing? How long before you get out of bed? A nap here, a nap there, a day off here, a day off there. Sit back, take it easy. Do you know what comes next? Just this. You can look forward to a dead, poor life. Poverty, your permanent house guest. This is very graphic though, but I like it. And I talked about, I would like to give a personal example. And really, I didn't take permission from my wife, but hopefully she doesn't mind. It just came to my mind now. I talked about how we give ourselves excuses. We say, I don't have time, I don't have time. This is something that we've struggled with as a family. And it's amazing. My wife recently got to know, recently, she's busy. She takes care of the family, takes care of all of us and the kids. And really, she's very, very busy. And that is excuse enough that she doesn't have time. But of course, everybody has 24 hours. But recently, she got to meet a friend whom she did some business with a while ago. Not business, they went into a venture, and it wasn't a very successful venture. And no, well, she got to know recently that this friend found another venture, and every month she makes on average 80K a month. In fact, recently made 100 plus a month. And she called the friend, and ever since she called the friend, the concept of time, I don't have time, doesn't exist anymore. She is excited. She is hungry. Every day she wakes up, you can see the hunger because she has acquired some knowledge and found out that there is a path that can help her get out of the struggles of life, get out of what it says you can look forward to a dead, poor life, poverty, your permanent house guest. And so at this time now, in fact, for the past few weeks, she exudes hunger by reason of the discovery. And so when I talk about these things, it's not just theory to explain a few facts. No, it's things that we live with, the experiences that we have. And as I've been speaking to some of you, to some people, it may be some really, really bad experiences. It may be family related experiences. It may be work related experiences, which are very, very valid, the excuses. But you see, if what is it called? Nelson Mandela took the excuse of being locked in prison for, is it 27 years? And I'll just forget about this dream. Coming out, he probably would have just said, you know what, let me just go to farming. After all, my dad was a farmer, I'll just be a lawyer. You know, he probably would have still been fine. He would have taken care of his kids. He would have had the money to, but the destiny of a nation, South Africa, would have been locked because a man limited himself because of the excuses he had. Do not settle for less because of fill in the blanks. There's always an excuse. There will always be an excuse. Hey, don't settle for less. These things we teach here, please put them into practice. The person who's a billionaire, the person who's a millionaire, the person who's living their dream, the person whom you admire doesn't have two horns. The fact that you're here is proof that you're number one, very, very smart. Number two, you have a goal and you have a drive in you. Don't let it die down. Fan the flames and run the race. Thank you very much. Heck, get copies of my book on Amazon. Get copies of my book on Amazon. And thank you very much for being here today. Please stay hungry. Stay hungry. Let me see. Hey, Uncle Hayford is here. Hey, where? Wow. The house is full. Thank you so much. But yes, let's not settle for less. Let's not settle for less. When I talk about hunger, Jesus's disciples, you see that in the way he called his disciples. He just say, come, and they follow. It wasn't hypnosis. It was a hunger because they were exposed to something different. It wasn't hypnosis. Thank you very much. Any questions? Let's get into discussion. Any questions? I remember when I was young, growing up as a kid back in primary school, my mom would wake up very early, cook food for us. And as kids, of course, we eat before going to school. But even as a kid, I would refuse eating. Whenever I had an exam, it was guaranteed at my home. And I was probably, I don't know, 6 years old, 7 years old. I'll wake up and say, no, I won't eat this food until I've gone and dealt with that exam before coming back. And to me, that's how, in my mind, that is how I saw an exam. There was something to be dealt with. I wasn't going to joke with it. I don't know where that came from, but it has been. Sometimes I reflect on it and say, right now I'm not even that hungry. I have to work on my hunger, and the easiest step to working on the easiest step to being hungry is acquiring adequate knowledge. Even Daniel understood by studying and by praying. Knowledge comes from revelation and studying. Acquiring knowledge, adequate knowledge, will spur us up to pursue the dream and the vision that we have in life. Let us not settle for less. Don't let the excuses, the failure of yesterday become a stumbling block. Somebody said failure can either be a detour or it can be an undertaker that kills and buries, or it can just be a detour or a stepping stone that helps us to move to the next level. So don't kill yourself if you fail. If you failed before, don't crucify yourself. I was thinking about it, that failure is like, the experience of failure is like being in the valley. You can stay there or you can decide to move up. That's the beauty of failure. You can't go any further. It's like the valley experience. You stay there or you go up. But if you're up, you can go down. So if you failed in something, don't beat yourself out of the game. Pick up your clock and run the race. Hey guys, please somebody say something. Thank you so much.